Good morning and welcome aboard HeadTrip Air. We're going to be continuing on with our efforts in kicking off this HeadTrip Air World Tour, beginning in Salt Lake City, Utah, with service on to Austin, Texas. It's our ultimate goal to circumnavigate the globe and touch down on every populated nation, well, actually every nation, and every state in the United States before coming back, reaching our final full circumnavigation destination here in Salt Lake City. And, at this stage, I'm going to be honest, it feels a little ambitious is probably not the word, because I've just spent the last, hour trying to set up some new functionality to this stream. So, but we're gonna go for it. We're gonna go for it. Have you ever hopped into a car and you're getting a little drowsy, and you're like, I shouldn't start this trip tonight. I should probably just pull over at a rest stop. I should probably, book myself into a cheap hotel. But yet you keep driving. First of all, shame, naughty on you. Don't do that. Get your rest. But if you're flying in a virtual cockpit, the rules are a little bit different because, it's a virtual cockpit. So we're going to do our best. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to try to get this puppy started, get this bird in the air. We're also going to be bringing passengers on board with us for this trip. So we've got a little third-party application called Self-Loading Cargo, which will help to manage our the crew, the flight service, the passengers, etc., etc., etc. So it's going to be interesting. But maybe my biggest problem is I just keep adding, features and functionality to this flight, and I just don't get in the freaking air. But hey, that's kind of what it's all about, right? It's all about the glitz and the glam. And if we're going to do this, we may as well, make it a big thing. So without further ado, let's hop on in to our cockpit and let's light this bird up. Okay, while I do that, I'm going to do a few quick pre-flight planning procedures to get our passengers prepared for boarding. So if you wouldn't mind, just give me a few minutes. It'll actually be a little less than that, a few seconds maybe, and I'll be right back with you to continue the startup procedures on the plane. Okay, I think we've made contact with the gate. We've got our passengers prepared, so in just a few minutes we'll bring them on board. But before we do so, let's get this plane powered up. Very first thing we're going to need to do, obviously, is bring some power online with our internal battery. And doing that, I think we can now call ground services and bring in the electrical power.
Salt Lake Ground, HeadTrip 1-2, could you please send a ground power unit? HeadTrip 1-2, a ground power unit is on the road.
Okay, once we have ground power connected, we can fire up the APU and get the other functions of the plane moving properly. Looks like it's been an early morning for our ground crew, so he's doing a few three-point turns, trying to figure out a way to connect to our Bombardier CRJ 700 aircraft. But it looks like he's in position, so let's see if we can go inside and connect the power. We'll just close that out for a moment. Let's come out to our aircraft panel and let's connect external power. It's looking pretty good. With that done, I think we should be able to turn on our DC service and kick on our power. So we've got air coming into the aircraft at this point in time. So for the comfort of our passengers, we'll fire up the air conditioning unit, bring a little heat in, and turn the fans on to keep them warm on this starting to cool on this late September morning. Okay. So what we need to do next, of course, we want to have our hydraulic power switches in place so that will work properly once we get powered up. We're going to do a test fire on our APU and make sure that we've got that moving forward correctly. And as you can see right here, it looks like the APU SOV is now open. So let's fire up the APU. Now it's just going to take a couple seconds to become activated and online. So with that said, I think we can probably go ahead and start with some of our other ground crew preparations. Let's open up our doors here. And of course we need to make sure we can get all of our passengers' cargo loaded up, so let's come in and open our cargo doors from the bottom of the plane. And of course we're also going to have cargo coming in the aft, and we'll open that up as well. There we go. And of course, the most important thing of all, you guessed it, it's the service door, so we can bring in the ginger ale, peanut butter M&Ms, and all kinds of other wonderful concessions for our beautiful passengers. Now, with those doors open, Let's go ahead and call the services in.
Salt Lake Ground HeadTrip 1-2, could you please send the catering truck? HeadTrip 1-2, the catering truck is on the road.
Looks like catering truck is kicked into high gear. We'll bring the baggage in as well.
HeadTrip 1-2, could you please send the baggage? HeadTrip 1-2, baggage is on the way.
Now, while we're at it, we better check our fuel, see if we need to bring a fuel truck in. I'm hoping that we've got adequate fuel. Looks like we've got 65%. I think we're going to be just fine with fuel, so I don't think we're going to refuel here. There we go. And here comes the goods. See if baggage is on the road. I'm not... Okay, there's our baggage. I think they're probably... I see. He's just preparing the baggage ramp. Certainly being cautious. There's nothing wrong with that. Safety first. It's the first thing we learn in Boy Scouts. Making good use of the passageways underneath the aircraft. I'm not sure if that's FAA approved, but no one's complaining as long as they get their bags. Certainly taking the long way around the tarmac. Kind of feels a little bit like Heimlich's choo-choo train at Disneyland. Of course, Heimlich's choo-choo train is no longer available to our children, so this is about the closest you're going to get to that ride. Looks like they're going to start loading up at this point in time. Okay, and there goes the bags. The bags going into the aircraft. We can move our attention back to the passengers. Okay, so we've got our power connected. Let's continue firing up this rocket, and then we'll bring our passengers on board. In fact, we probably ought to bring our passengers on board in advance, given the fact that it's going to take a little while to get everybody on. So let's see if we can let the gates know that we are ready for our passengers.
Hi, cabin crew, we're ready to get going now, so as soon as you're ready, you can open the doors and start letting the passengers on board. Thank you. Hi there, we're ready to go up here, so once everyone's on board, please feel free to close the doors and we can get going.
No problem. Okay, great, we're almost done.
Okay, we'll just wait for the plane to fill up. Looks like we've got 5 on board so far, and 2 are seated. And we'll keep you posted on the status of our loading. Let's check in on... looks like our baggage is done. That's great. So they'll disconnect. Let's continue to fire up the plane and get things in motion. Okay. Make sure we've got power connected. Yes, we do. So I think we're probably ready to kick in our APU. Looks like it's available over here. I'm going to do a pre-fire here. See if... Okay. We got some passengers loading in. Let's see. Let's kick this in one more time. There we go. That's what we want to see. Our APU SOV is now open, so I think we can start up the APU. No problem. Let's just wait for that to become available. While we're waiting for that, we'll clear out our check engine lights. We're loaded up with 21 passengers at this point in time, with 19 of them seated. Looks like everyone's cooperating well. We have a total of 77 passengers on this flight today, so fairly full flight. We're going to try to keep everybody happy in the skies. Let's try to start this up. All right, there we go. It's not always the easiest thing to load this thing up in the proper order. Once we get the APU on, we'll pump our fuel pumps on. Okay. I think we're headed down the right road, though. We're going to wait for this to be available, and then we'll start our engines. Okay, there we are. So what we'll need to do is make sure our fuel pumps are running fuel to the lines. And we're going to start these engines one at a time. Now I'm going to come in a little close on these throttles. We're going to set these to an idle position. So let's just move over to the right here a little bit. Release the fuel switch. And let's click this into the idle position. And let's proceed to start engine number 1. What we'll do is we'll align ourselves behind the jet to make sure we're getting the proper circulation. And we'll wait for that to show signs of life. Should be any moment now. And there we go. There we go. We've got a running engine. Let's go back in and repeat the procedure for our left engine. Let's make sure we can come down, and we're going to move ourselves back into the pilot seat. Whoops. Just a little bit off axis there. We'll move that throttle up into the idle position. Right there. Looks like we've got about 34 passengers on board. All of them seated, so things are proceeding in the cabin as expected. We've got 27 more passengers at the gate, so we'll wait for the rest of them to come on board. Let's get this left engine started. And we'll move over to the left engine and wait for an acknowledgement there. And there she is. Fantastic. Okay, with our engine started, we'll begin to stabilize here. Now we need to make sure we've got the proper lights on, so we're going to turn on our nav lights and our beacon with the hot engine. We're also going to turn on strobe engine just so we don't forget to do that as we cross the runways. Logo lights are full vanity, but we'll take that, and we'll take that as well. All right. We'll make sure we turn on our no smoking signs and our seat belts. Emergency lights armed. Okay. Right now we've got 39 on board with 23 passengers at the gate, so we're about 79%, and then we'll be pulling back here shortly. I think we can close our cargo doors now, and our service door as well. And we can also disconnect our AC power at this point in time. We're up to 46 on board. Only 16 left. 80% satisfied, and we will be on our way. Okay, we've got 59 on board with just 3 left. We're going to be ready to take off here in just a few minutes. We've got everyone seated. We've got one seatbelt that still needs to be fastened.
Crew, please arm doors, thank you.
I think we'll come in and we'll close the doors.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the crew, I ask that you please direct your attention to the monitors above as we review the emergency procedure. There are 6 emergency exits on this aircraft. Take a minute to locate the exit closest to you. Note that the nearest exit may be behind you. Count the number of rows to this exit. Should the cabin experience sudden pressure loss, stay calm and listen for instructions from the cabin crew. Oxygen masks will drop down from above your seat. Place the mask over your mouth and nose. Like this.
Hi, Captain. The cabin is secured. All doors and contact. We're ready to go.
That's great, thank you.
Okay, well, the flight attendants are giving safety instructions. I think we're going to request a pushback, and we'll be on our way.
Thank you for your attention. We hope you enjoy the flight.
Of an extreme emergency landing, you'll be instructed to get into the brace position, which is executed by placing your head.
The very last thing we need to do is ask for ground crews to remove the wheel chucks there right off our wheels, so we can release our parking brakes and get in motion. So we'll do that real quickly. And that was just like witchcraft. That was magic. Okay. I think we're in pretty good shape. Okay. Well, let's see if we can load up our flight plan here in Navigraph. Okay, we're going to have to change our there we go. Let's bring in our flight plan from SimBrief. That's the one we want. And there we go. Here's a high-level view of our flight plan. We're going to be leaving off Salt Lake City. We're going to be following a roughly southeastern direction after we pass through Utah Valley. And then we'll be coming close to Grand Junction, coming through Colorado, and just brushing by a little above Santa Fe. And we may take a little bit of a diversion into that city to see what it has to offer. We also might try to get a good view of Grand Junction as well. But that effectively takes us down to roughly Lubbock, Texas, and then we'll be moving on to Austin. So there is our flight plan. Let's bring on our indicator so that we know where we're at. There we go. All right, with everybody on board, I think we're ready to push back. We'll call into ground services and see if they'll accommodate. I'm not immediately seeing a pushback service. It's a little concerning. Maybe we've got to get our clearance first.
Salt Lake Ground, HeadTrip 12 ready to copy IFR clearance to Austin. HeadTrip 12 is cleared to Austin Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 16 left climb and maintain 13,000 feet. Departure frequency is 128.1 squawk 0377.
Let's read back and acknowledge the IFR clearance.
HeadTrip 12 cleared to Austin Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 16 left climb and maintain 13,000 feet. Departure on 128.1 squawk 0377. HeadTrip 12 readback is correct. Contact ground on 123.775 when ready to taxi. Good day.
Okay. Looks like we're going to need contact ground on 123.775 when ready to taxi. I think before we do that, though, now we're ready to probably get our pushback. And there we have it, right there.
Salt Lake Ground, HeadTrip 12 requesting pushback. HeadTrip 12 pushback request accepted.
At this stage, we'll release our parking brake. And let the crew do their magic. Okay. And that's how we start off on our epic journey around the world. We're going to get a little bit of a twist here.
Salt Lake Ground, HeadTrip 12 requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the right. HeadTrip 12, your request has been transmitted to the operator. Salt Lake Ground, HeadTrip 12 requesting the end of pushback. HeadTrip 12 request to end pushback received.
Okay. That probably felt like a very long process. I know it felt like a very long process for me. I don't even know how many minutes we are into this. But the good news is we are ready to get going. So I'm going to bring up my airport charts. Now we've been given clearance, I should say. Well, let's see if I can find myself on this chart. Immediately seeing my position. Let's see. Oh, that's where I'm at. Okay, this is going to be interesting. The airport charts. Let's bring this up here. There we go. There we go. Okay, let's look at our taxi instructions. Let's see. We've got IFR approval, cleared for runway 16L. Didn't give me a whole lot of taxi instructions that I can see. Departure frequency 128.1. Squawk 0377. So we're just going to go back to clearance, and we're going to request a taxi.
Salt Lake ground, HeadTrip 12 with Sierra ready to taxi IFR. HeadTrip 12 taxi to and hold short of runway 16 left via taxiway Golf Hotel 1 tree. Contact tower on 118 decimal tree when ready.
Okay, that's what we were looking for.
Taxi to and hold short runway 16 left using taxiway Golf Hotel 1 tree HeadTrip 12.
Okay, so if we take a quick look at that, we're going to be heading off 16L, taking Golf Hotel 13. And effectively that's going to be, there's Golf, there's Hotel 13. So we're just going to go pretty well straight out. Pretty well straight out to the taxiway all the way to the end, and we're going to be taking off to the south on 16L. Okay, well, we've got our clearance. Let's not keep these passengers waiting any longer. Hopefully we've accounted for everything that we need to do, but if we haven't, I don't know what else to do. So we're gonna thrust up the plane a little bit and get moving. There we go. You know, it's taken so long to get to a point where I can just kind of get in the cockpit and just fly. And so it's feeling good that we're now in motion. I'm being informed by the flight attendants that we only have 71% satisfaction with our passengers. I don't know if we just took too long, but you know, sometimes these things take a little bit of time. There we go. We got a pretty straight line on that. The one thing I like about flying this larger jet is it just doesn't veer left and right nearly as much as those smaller aircraft do. Now we're on H. We're going to go all the way to H13. The goal of this flight is to learn how to use that autopilot to our advantage. And I'll tell you what, I'm getting a little sleepy. I wouldn't mind a little bit of autopilot at this point in time. Need to get me some rest. Don't do this at home, kids. Looks like the wind is not too terribly strong today. Okay, we're coming up on our approach here. Okay, we're ready for our final clearance. Let's tune to tower and request takeoff clearance.
Salt Lake Tower HeadTrip 12 ready for IFR departure runway 16 left.
HeadTrip 12 altimeter 30.42.19 rated 5. Cleared for takeoff runway 16 left.
Cleared for takeoff runway 16 left HeadTrip 12.
If you don't watch that break, you're going to be, as they used to say, if you can't stop, you're on second north, baby. And I took my eyes off the tarmac there for a moment, and that's what happens when you close your eyes for a moment. You just start drifting. Looks like we're cleared for takeoff, so let's line ourselves up, and we're next in line. Boy, getting this thing started up was
Cabin crew, seats for takeoff, please.
been a labor of love, that's for sure. Okay, I'm gonna stop for just one moment, make sure our flaps are in place. We should have flaps sitting at about 8 degrees, so let me come down and just check my flaps, make sure. There we go. I think that's the last of our, oops, other than not turning on the autopilot. I'm really bad at that. There we go. Our trim looks good. I think we're ready. Okay. Moving forward. Okay. Lift the nose up slightly.
Positive climb. HeadTrip 12, contact Salt Lake departure on 128.1. Good day.
I really need to unmap. Now I need to turn over to departure so they can tell me where to go with this IFR. I've never done this before. I'll try to do this using two hands here.
Did you copy?
Oh, I copied all right.
128.1 for HeadTrip 12. Salt Lake departure HeadTrip 12 is at 6,200 feet, climbing 13,000 feet.
HeadTrip 12, Salt Lake departure altimeter 30.42, continue to Hopto as planned. HeadTrip 12, verify squawking 0377.
Salt Lake departure HeadTrip 12 requesting vector to next waypoint.
HeadTrip 12, continue to Hopto turning and following heading 160, resume on navigation.
160.
HeadTrip 12, did you copy?
Lots to do.
Continue to Hopto turning and following heading 160, resume on navigation HeadTrip 12.
Now, I'll be honest, I have no idea where Hopto is, but I do know we're going east.
Squawk 0377.
I'll be honest, I have no idea how to fly IFR. But we're going to learn real fast, aren't we?
HeadTrip 12, IFR flight plan is canceled. Radar service terminated. Squawk 1200. Maintain VFR.
Okay, we're...
Change approved. Good day.
He was not patient at all with me. He didn't realize I was a rookie. You know, if you're going to fly IFR, you better dang well fly IFR. So we're out of IFR instruction range.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may now use your electronic devices.
And there you have it. Climbing slowly. I think we can. I think we're not going to get any more help from Salt Lake City. That's clearly apparent. So I mean, one thing we can do is we can at least pull open our map to see hopefully the general direction we're supposed to be going. That may be helpful. Not the weather, that's not what we want. We want the map. There we go. Problem is now we're just flying. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad at all. We can do this. We can do this. I'm going to resize my map here so it doesn't take off my entire screen. There we go. Now we're up to 16,000 feet. I don't recall what our cruising altitude was, but I'm going to pull back on my flaps and pick up some speed here. And we're going to change our vector here to follow the flight plan. I suppose it's that little red area that I screwed up. That's probably where I went rogue on ATC. Somehow I pulled away from that flight plan, so they weren't too happy with that, I can tell you that much. Alright, I'm going to set my trim down a little bit, and when we do this, we're going to give ourselves a boost in speed here. Now we're running at full throttle. I hope that's okay. I'm going to just begin banking left. It's a pretty straight shot. Kind of starts veering down at some point, but hey, we're out of the valley, so that's further than we got last time. Well, it looks like our passengers are a little nervous. See if we can satisfy them. Getting some good speed now. A little bit of turbulence. You know, the way I look at it is if I can even get to Denver, I would be a fairly happy man. Passengers not liking the turbulence at all. I'd have to balance this out a little bit with some decrease in throttle. Boy, I gotta tell you, they're really sensitive. Okay. Let's see what we need to do here. I've got some kind of indicator on, but I'm not 100% sure what I'm supposed to be doing about it. Let's move this up out of our way as much as possible. Oops. Okay, we're gaining way too fast, so we're up to about, if I'm reading that right, about 27,000 feet, like, roughly. And now they're a little nervous that we're going to crash into the ground. Okay, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Just ease up a little bit. Ease up a little bit. Come on, guys. Oh, for heaven's sakes, people. Bunch of ungrateful people. You're sitting in a chair in the sky and you're screaming at me because, you know, ginger ale is spilling on your blazer. It's really hard to keep this plane level, I gotta tell you. I mean, it's either climbing up or climbing down, and you go, I need to be on autopilot like something fierce, or... So I'm gonna work on it. Let's see if we can get this autopilot working. It's not gonna be easy. Let's engage the autopilot. Let's turn the flight director on first of all. Maybe that will level us out a little bit. Can we do that? Okay, that looks like it leveled us out a little bit, and that's really good news. Well, I'm climbing a little bit now. Let's just see if we can figure this darned thing out. We still on course? We're veering a little bit. Guess we want to head over this way. Some pretty terrain down there. Out of 27,000 feet. Oh well, it would have helped if I would have put my landing gear up. So let's put the landing gear up. It's always hard to remember every little step, isn't it? Let's see what we're seeing on our flight director here. Looks like we're climbing. Pretty close to level flight right now. I don't know how to read the maps in, or even bring the maps up, so I'm gonna ignore that for a moment. We'll just make sure we're somewhere in the range of okay. For right now, all I know how to do is work with the trim to keep us from pushing up or down too quickly. Goodness. Now we're going down. We're going to get some of our people complaining at us. There we go. Right. I was waiting for that. I was waiting for it. Okay, well, let's see what we need to do. Honestly, I'm thinking if we hit our vertical speed... How are we doing on speed? Is that the problem? We going too fast? Yes, we are. I'm going to pull some flaps down before we... That is not good. Pull back onto my thrust. We're stressing this aircraft far, far, far too much. And that's how... Well, I mean, I guess the good news is we all get to go to bed now. This is going to be hard. Okay. I've got a little message on my panel saying, thoughts and prayers. Maybe it will buff out. Goodness gracious. Well, if I don't get that autopilot working on this aircraft, I don't think we're going anywhere fast. So, got a little practicing to do. Okay, well. Just a reminder, passengers, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Also, don't forget to wear your seatbelt. If you'd like to join us on Discord, the address is up there. Come and be part of the community. There's not very many of us in there at the moment, but perhaps one day we'll have a full flight. And I think that's where we're at. So I think we're going to hear a little bit of the chatter from the cockpit. Let's see what they have to say about that flight. It's a lot of chatter going on for an airplane that just pretty much fell apart in the sky.